very similar to an employee becoming an entrepreneur, a process of going from one world to another. One of the first lessons I learned is that what I need to do on the streets and highways is opposite to what I have to do on the racetrack. For example, on the highway, if you see a wreck directly in front of you, most people step on their brakes. In the driving school, we were taught to step on the throttle. In the real world, when a car begins to skid, most people step on their brakes. In driving school, we have to know when to step on the brake and when to step on the throttle. In other words, with different skids, there are different responses. Trust me, stepping on the brake is easy. Stepping on the throttle in a skid is hard. It goes against everything I know. In order to do it, I definitely needed to increase my mental and physical capacity. In the normal world of driving, most people are asked to drive at or below the speed limit. In driving school, we were taught to step on the throttle and go beyond our personal limits to speed. Speed and fear definitely increased my capacity. A great curriculum. My 4 days at the Bob Bondurant High Performance Racing School were 4 days of the steepest learning curve I have ever gone through in my life. The learning curves at the racing school were even steeper than the learning curves I went through at the Navy Flight School. Obviously, Bob Bondurant is not only a great Formula One driver, he is also a wonderful teacher. As a fellow teacher, even though terrified most of the time, I did spend a lot of time evaluating his teaching methodology. I was impressed with the curriculum in the classroom and on the track. For 4 days, he and his instructors kept us going through our fears as well as our mental and physical limitations with a high degree of safety. Once on the track, I did not have much concern for my physical well-being. The primary concern I had was my wife Kim passing me at higher speeds, which she did on several occasions. Physically, I was fine, but my ego was severely bruised each time her car flew past mine. The entrepreneurial process. The process of going from street driver to racetrack driver required that I unlearn many things. In other words, the right things to do on the street will get you killed on the racetrack. Also, the smart thing to do on the street, such as slow down, is often the stupid thing to do on the racetrack. The same is true with going from employee to entrepreneur. They are two different worlds, and what is right in one world is wrong in the other. The reason I tell the story of my poor dad's transition from the world of government to the world of entrepreneurship is to illustrate this point, that what he did right in the world of government was wrong in the world of entrepreneurship. Since a new entrepreneur is creating something out of nothing, it is obvious that mistakes will be made. In order to succeed, a new entrepreneur needs to be committed to going through these steps as quickly as possible. 1. Start the business. 2. Fail and learn. 3. Find a mentor. 4. Fail and learn. 5. Take some classes. 6. Keep failing and learning. 7. Stop when successful. 8. Celebrate. 9. Count your money, the wins and the losses. 10. Repeat the process. The dreaded disease. In my estimation, 90% of wannabe entrepreneurs do not get to step 1. They may have a plan. They may have created the perfect business in their head or on paper, but that dreaded disease, known as analysis paralysis, infects them. Instead of going forward, I have seen many wannabe entrepreneurs design and redesign their plan, or they find some excuse why the time or the plan is not right. Instead of taking action and failing, they work hard at trying not to fail. They enter the world of analysis paralysis. It is impossible to become an entrepreneur without starting a business. It would be like trying to learn how to ride a bicycle without a bicycle, or wanting to learn to be a race car driver without a race car and a track. My rich dad said, the main reason to start a business is to have a business to practice on. If you do not have a bicycle to practice on, how can you learn to ride a bike? If you do not have a business to practice on, how can you learn to be an entrepreneur? Different schools of thought. At the Bondurant High Performance Driving School, the course curriculum did not focus on doing things right. The course focused on making driving mistakes at higher and higher speeds. As our ability to make mistakes and to correct them at high speeds increased, our confidence went up. On the fourth day of the course, I could make a horrible mistake at high speed, lose control of the car in a turn, regain control, get the car back on the track, get back to full throttle, and continue the race. If I had attempted that on the first day, I would probably be in the hospital. Once again, I mentioned this driving school because it reflects a contrast in different schools of thought. My poor dad came from the school of thought that focused on the avoidance of mistakes. That is why he was a good employee. My rich dad came from the school of thought that encouraged making mistakes. That is why he was a good entrepreneur. Dumb and Dumber. This chapter is entitled Dumb and Dumber, Get Rich and Richer, as a tribute to Jim Carrey. For those of you who have ever watched a Jim Carrey movie, you may have noticed that the dumber he is on screen, the richer he becomes. The same is true with entrepreneurship. If you are a person who needs to always look good, sound smart, never make mistakes, and have all the right answers, then being an employee or a self-employed person might be a better path for you. When I first started out, I looked like the biggest clown in town. My businesses would go up and come crashing down. Soon, my reputation as an entrepreneur in the business community of Honolulu was laughable. If not for my rich dad guiding me and encouraging me to learn from my mistakes and go out and make more, I might have quit my process. I found it painful to play Jim Carrey's screen characters in real life. Yet, as the years went on, the mistakes were bigger but not as painful, simply because I was becoming an expert at making mistakes. Instead of running through 5 or 6 stop signs, I did stop, think, learn, correct, and expand my capacity as an entrepreneur before going on. Today, I can honestly say I am richer than many of my peers, many who did well in school or had higher paying jobs early in life, simply because I was willing to be dumb and dumber for years. That's part of paying the price to succeed. Turning bad luck into good luck. When we were just entering high school, Rich Dad taught his son and me how to turn bad luck into good luck. At the time, both Mike and I were sinking fast in our sophomore year of high school because we were flunking English. Mike and I were not great writers. Instead of being upset with us, Rich Dad said, "Let this setback in school make you stronger, not weaker. If you can turn this bad experience into a good experience, you will be further ahead of your classmates who passed the course." "But we both have F's on our report card," Mike protested. "That record travels with us all the way through college." Yes, the grade travels with you, but so does the lesson in life. In the long run, this lesson in life can be far more important than your grades if you take this bad incident and turn it into a good incident. Mike and I were really angry with our English teacher. We were depressed and felt like failures. Looking at us, Rich Dad chuckled and said, "Your teacher is winning. You guys are losing because you're acting like losers." "What can we do?" I asked. "He's got the power. He's already flunked us, and the whole school knows it." "He only has the power to flunk you," smiled Rich Dad. "You have the power to take your anger and do something even more stupid, like slash the tires on his car, which I suspect has crossed your minds, or do something good, like take your anger and do well in school or do well in football or in surfing. Take your anger and turn it into greatness. Then you will win. If you take your anger and slash the tires on his car, you will take a bad situation and make it worse. You'll probably spend time in jail if you do what you are thinking. The power of emotions. That day, Rich Dad taught us as humans we have 4 basic emotions. They are 1. Joy, 2. Anger, 3. Fear, 4. Love. He also explained that there were many other emotions, but these were the basic ones. Many of the other emotions were combinations of 2 or more of these basic emotions. For example, sadness is often a combination of anger, fear, and love, and occasionally joy. He then taught us that each emotion can be used in 2 basic ways, for good or for bad. For example, I could feel joy and use the joy to go out and drink heavily, which would be using the emotion of joy for a bad purpose. I could also use the emotion of joy and send thank you notes to everyone who helped me in life. The same is true with all 4 basic emotions, even love. Today, I still do not like my English teacher, yet I am grateful that he flunked me. If not for that F, I might not have studied harder to get through college, and I might never have